What's up everyone, I'm GKB, aka The Governor. Today on Gamers Knows Best, it's the Indi-Scussion, where we give our impressions on indie games that we've played this week. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the game real quick. Bastion is an original action role-playing game developed by Supergiant Games. You play as the kid trying to rebuild the destroyed world of Bastion. You meet some interesting characters on your journey. The entire game has a reactive narrator that tells the journey of the kid. You hack and slash your way to finding the cores needed to rebuild the world you love. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the graphics of Bastion. First off, I think it has a fantastic art style. It has very stylized characters, very colorful, very vibrant, which is really nice. The UI is fantastic. The world map looks great. You're like this little floating kid and looking over the world, and you just get to choose where you want to go. And I think that's really cool. I love how also the levels, when you get into, you have like this little starting area and then you progress on and the levels come up from the ground to build up your walkway. I think it's very cool. It's like this little collage type kind of thing going on of just like broken bits of the area, and it's just coming together for this platform for you to play on. You know, I think Bastion also has some great enemy designs as well. You know, they have like squirts, these other characters called like scumbags, and it just goes on and on and on. There's a plethora of like plant and animals, you know, birds, all kinds of different stuff. And they kind of go on to, they start you off slow with like, you know, you're fighting against like squirts, and then they just keep continuing to ramp up and ramp up. As you get to different worlds and different levels, they add more and more enemies and different variety of enemies, which is always great for a video game, because one of the things that I can't stand is just constant reusing the same enemies over and over and over again. But Bastion does a very good job of keeping a good variety of enemies to fight, so that's always good to see. Also, when you're playing through Bastion, you're going to see a ton of effects, you know, from like sparkling things to, you know, just the overall world. Like, you start off and there's like leaves falling down. They have these great backgrounds and backdrops that are beautifully done. It just screams like well polished and well developed game. So it's a ton of fun. I enjoyed the graphics. I always found myself just looking around. Tons of detail. Everything is like breakable. So alright, let's go ahead and talk about the gameplay of Bastion. I think the gameplay overall is really tight and responsive. Again, like I said in the graphics, it's a very polished game. So you get 2 weapons and a special. You start off with the hammer, and then this little repeater rifle, and then it just continues on. The more you play the game, the more unlocks, the more it gives you. The gameplay when you're fighting enemies is it rewards precision. And it kind of punishes you if you're just going to try and like just run into the middle and just, you know, try and kill everything. It definitely wants you to dash, use your shield, you know, use your weapons to the best of your ability. Now, talking about like weapons and loadouts, like this game is really fantastic, and it just constantly gives you new weapons to upgrade, to use, and to really customize your loadout to your play style. And again, that's fantastic. More choices for gamers is always a good thing. You can definitely, if you're into, you know, building the best loadout for your character and all that kind of stuff, you can really get pretty deep into it. As you know, you can swap out any kind of, you know, you could do all guns, you could do just all like melee weapons, you know, and then you have your specials, which could be grenades, just a bunch of different things that you can do. There's even like, you know, you can make things your pets to help you out in fights. So it's really cool. There's just tons of variety there. Also, there's a ton of variety with the levels and challenges too. Every level you go to is different from the last. Like I said, they just constantly give you variety. Now, they also break up the traditional gameplay in this with challenges, where you can go and use the specific weapons that you've unlocked to race against the time or get points, and it unlocks tiers of rewards, so you can get 3rd, 2nd, or 1st place. and each of those give you crafting rewards to therefore go ahead and upgrade your weapons and stuff. And that's another thing, is like you can constantly upgrade your weapons. Like the first ones you start out with get about like 3 levels of upgrades, but then when you get into the next world and you're going to find these other shards, you get other weapons that actually have more. There's like 5 upgrades to those, so it just keeps going and keeps ramping up as you play the game. Overall, I think the gameplay is a ton of fun. It's very rewarding. If the more skilled you are, the more you try and learn, the better and easier it is. It can get a little bit frustrating if you're just trying to go in there and just straight level everything in the middle of the environment. That's just not what it's intended to do. You definitely have to dash around and use your weapons to really go ahead and fight all these enemies. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the story. The story is kind of generic. You're basically a hero just going around and trying to save the world. Reminds me much of a Zelda type kind of story where you're against all odds trying to save your friends in this world. But what I think really makes this game really special is the way the narration is done. It's a very reactive narrator, right? You're basically, to explain it the best way, it's kind of like the narrator's reading a story and you're watching a movie at the same time. And then while you're doing stuff inside the game, then the narrator actually, like when you fall off the side, he's like, oh well, he fell off, but it's not the end of the story. So it's really a cool way that they've done it, and how they did it, I don't know, but it's really cool. If you're constantly like shooting or missing, he'll kind of like point it out, which was kind of fun. And it makes the story that much more entertaining to play. Now I don't want to get into too much about the story, because if you haven't played it, I definitely think I don't want to ruin it or anything like that. So, but the story is fun. Like I said, it's a bit generic, but the narrator on its own makes up for any lack in the story. But all in all, I do think the story was pretty good for what you're getting in this game. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about my final thoughts of Bastion. It's a great action RPG with frantic gameplay that is both rewarding and fun. Bastion offers a ton of variety, whether you want to upgrade and test all the different loadouts out, or from the great levels and challenge missions. There is definitely something for everyone here. Now you pack all that into a beautiful, stylized world. This is something really special to play. I definitely think this game is worth adding to your game library. So if this game appeals to you, I would definitely pick it up. Well, that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this Indi-Scussion of Bastion. If you did enjoy the video and want to see more, hit that like button. If you had a chance to play Bastion or thinking about picking it up, let us know what you think in the comments below. We love to hear from you. Please share and subscribe. This is GKB. We will see you in the next one. And as always, take care of your fellow gamers.